My boyfriend has a sketchy friendship with a woman. My boyfriend and I have been together for 2 years and something in the dynamic with this person has never sat well with me. He had gone on one date with her before we started dating and claimed she wasn't what he wanted looks or personality-wise and hardly talked to her. But he's talked to her regularly since we've gotten together. I don't care if he has female friends, just that he's honest about the nature of them, and 2 weeks into dating me he asked her to be a FWB. Which she turned down because she was in a relationship, still is and lives with the guy as far as I'm aware. Ever since the beginning he's been very closed about her and anything they talk about. He gets extremely defensive about her anytime I ask. He claims it's because it shouldn't matter and I don't need to know anyway. And while that's fair, he's open about his conversations about anyone else. Recently he and I have hit a rough patch in our relationship and he's been confiding in her about it. From only messaging her on Snapchat to now they have phone calls but only if he's not at our home. In the past week he's muted her message notifications and I'm very uncomfortable about it. He doesn't know that I'm aware or at least 99.9% positive that he's done this. This man already is glued to his phone 24/7 and basically never leaves it out of his sight. He also consistently hides anything he's doing on it the moment I enter a room. I'm not even looking at it or what he's doing, but that behavior makes the intrusive part of my brain want to know. That would be a breach of privacy and I'm not at that point. For more context, he's already, recently, admitted to hiding actions because he knew I would be upset, because they were wrong and he knew it, and didn't want to deal with it but wouldn't stop because he doesn't think any action of his should matter in his words. So feels like a red flag. My opinion is there shouldn't be something to hide in a relationship. If you can't trust your partner with the truth, you probably shouldn't be with them. I've been transparent at every step of these past 2 years and I'm getting tired of being the only one. How do I go about bringing up my discomfort with at the bare minimum the muting of notifications? Or do I even bother and just try to quell my mounting anxiety? I just don't want to be blindsided. Comment. I think it's time you consider leaving this relationship. The other woman is at a minimum, a side chick and he is cheating on you. Or she's waiting for you two to break up and swoop into your spot. If he is not cheating on you with her and she is just a friend, then he is probably talking mad shit about you to her. There's a good reason why he's muted his conversations with just her and only talking to her when he's not at home. You got 2 options. If you think the relationship is worth saving, then give him an ultimatum. If he refuses or protests, then leave. If he agrees to change, but goes back to hiding stuff, then leave. If he listens and surprisingly changes, then stay, but always have your guard up. Or just break up with him because he's probably not gonna change and will still continue this suspicious relationship behind your back. You're 25. You still got many years left of your life. Don't waste your time worrying about this guy's bullshit or you're gonna regret it later on. If he don't care about your concerns or wants, then why should you care about his? He claims it shouldn't matter? It absolutely matters, as he's previously shown this isn't a typical friendship by asking her to be his FWB while dating you and is now actively behaving like this. As for phone calls when he's not at home and muted message notifications, no. I think there are a lot of red flags here and I can understand why you're feeling uncomfortable. I've been in this same situation before. Trust your gut. Something isn't right. Whether you choose to go looking or you ask him outright, I think you may end up heartbroken. He's hiding phone activity and phone calls. He's guarded about his relationship with this woman but has no hesitation to air your dirty laundry with her. He's at least emotionally connected to this girl. So many red flags. Personally, I would be laying my cards on the table, drawing some firm boundaries and seeing how he responds to those. Your partner sounds like he's behaving in a sketchy way and you're going to have to bring that up. Next story 2. I got cheated on in my first relationship 10 years ago, and now it's affecting my current relationship with my GF. I got cheated on in my first relationship 10 years ago, and it has affected all my other relationships. When I was 16, I got into a relationship with who I thought was the perfect girl at the time. Obviously I was young and naive, but I fell for her, and after being in a relationship with her for just over a year, I was extremely happy and didn't suspect anything. Then all of a sudden she admitted to cheating on me and leaving me for him. The change from happiness to having the news dropped on me happened within a couple of days. After that I've been in a number of relationships, but none of them last long, because as soon as I fear the other person is getting bored of me or things are getting very good, I close myself off because I'm preparing for the worst, and that usually ends up in me cutting the person off when they don't even do anything wrong. It becomes toxic because I start disassociating in my current relationship and try to find someone else to confide in, until I realize what I'm doing and then just implode the relationship with my stupid actions. I have been to therapy for this, but nothing they say really seems to work or stick with me. I am currently in my longest relationship since my first one. We are about to hit 1 year together, and up until now things have been going extremely well. Earlier this week I started disassociating and I can feel myself getting distant. Does anybody have any idea on the things I could do to keep myself grounded to this relationship so I don't mess this up like my other ones? Comment. Stop punishing the women you date for the actions of your ex. It's been 10 years. You need to let it go. Being cheated on sucks, but it wasn't your fault. You deserve to be happy. Your brain gets used to patterns, and makes the brain sauces associated with those patterns. But that's just your brain, that silly blob of electric jello that's trying to keep you surviving by adapting to its environment. You are not a mindless animal enslaved to your instincts. Your brain can give you all sorts of feelings, but it doesn't mean that they're true. Your choices are what define you. You can recognize this pattern, and realize that the only way to change it is to change your behavior. Form those new neural pathways. Talk to your partner. Tell them that you had a dating trauma and it's given you some behaviors that wrecked a lot of your previous relationships, and you recognize some of the precursors emerging. Tell them that you want to change it, because you love her and want to make this work. Tell her that sometimes you disassociate, or get emotional fluctuations, and you need to ride it through. Ask her to tell you when your behavior is off, and make note of it. Document your patterns. Use your logic. Your brain can turn off that emotional connection, but you can logic through it. You can acknowledge that while you're not feeling right that moment, it doesn't mean that you won't later. That wrecking things now means wrecking things for you in your future. If you start feeling those self-destructive tendencies popping up, distract yourself. Do something, focus on something. You can't always turn the intrusive thoughts off, but you can kill time until that batch of anxiety or whatnot passes. Take some time to appreciate the good parts of your relationship, the things you take for granted. When you're used to bad things happening, the good things make you antsy, like you're waiting for the other shoe to drop. And if it doesn't, you start doing things to cause the destruction, or something small will suddenly seem like a mountain. Calm parts will seem boring. Relationships often end, some well, some badly. That's life. Yours could end tomorrow. Accept that, and realize that it also could continue. But you won't know, unless you keep going. If something bad happens, you'll find out sooner or later, but until then, don't make up scenarios in your anxiety-fueled imagination and punish your girlfriend for your fears. She doesn't deserve that. It's hard at first, and when it gets easier, you'll run into situations that feel like they set you right back. Just pick up your feet, and keep trying. The longer you do so, the easier it gets to handle those situations, until they're so few and far between that they're barely a problem anymore. But also, therapy would help with learning exercises and short-term coping mechanisms while you work on reprogramming your jello sauces.